So I'm sure if you all watched our Cursed Dynamike pushing series that I had here on the channel, you'll have known how difficult it was for me personally to achieve that rank 35. It took me just about 2 different trophy pushing seasons, sweating my absolute butt off on the maps that called for Dynamike. But with that being said, what we're going to be going over in today's video may shock you, and that is someone in the community managing to achieve rank 35 on Dynamike in this current meta as a power level 1. What the heck? Guys, I tried so dang hard for that rank 35. I cannot even imagine how difficult a power level 1 Dynamike pushing in this meta had to have been. So I'm very excited to highlight some of the matches that he played in a very competitive setting so you guys can all see the grind and the achievement for yourselves. Hope you're all pumped up. Let's get straight away into it. Here we go! So before we get straight away into today's video, the person who managed to achieve this crazy milestone's name is Flacco. If you guys would like to support him, his links will be in the description down below. In my opinion, crazy accomplishments like this definitely deserve some praise in the community because it's definitely not easy. So I'd appreciate it if you check those out. Also, if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing here from these types of episodes, since we don't really do them very often, I would highly recommend you guys subscribe to the channel. I would like to do more things such as this, looking for cool milestones and stuff like that, highlighting it on the channel because it's cool to see, and if you guys like that, be sure to subscribe. It helps out a ton. But with all of that out of the way, we are beginning today's video off over on the man himself's Twitter page, Flacco here, posting May 30th the screenshot that ended everything, a power level 1 Dynamike achieving rank 35. Are you kidding me? Insane. So I'm sure you guys know I have a little bit of experience with power level 1 pushing from our Iron Man challenges, but I've never ever managed to go higher than rank 25, 750 trophies, because the incline of difficulty gets insane. So seriously, this guy is next level. Coming off of a rank 35 Dynamike push very recently myself, I know his gadgets and star powers are insanely important to be somewhat relevant in the meta. So not being able to have those plus no damage output and no health, my goodness, there's like no way. I can't wrap my head around it. So next, transitioning over here to Brawl Stars, taking a look at the leaderboards for Dynamike, he is still really high up here. If we find him, he is currently sitting at 1,031 trophies from the season reset. And one thing that I really do like about this push is that it's kind of a cursed account in a way. He doesn't have that many brawlers and they're all power level 1. So he did some brawl box openings, but his Dynamike in particular is very cursed if you ask me. My gosh, power level 1 is just weird. And funny story, before we hop into the matches, Flacco as well as myself got our rank 35s for our Dynamikes on the same exact season, and we happened to go up against each other one time during the push, and guess what? He beat me in lane with a power level 1 Dynamike. My gosh, he's phenomenal with Dynamike. So very excited to highlight the matches. Let's get straight away into it. As you can see, the final leg of their push was in Siege. He's at 1,226 trophies, the very first match that we're hopping into, up against a Carl, a Barley, and a Stu. Not an easy team comp to go up against with a Dynamike, let alone a power level 1 Dynamike. So let's see how this unfolds here. Going in the right lane, I believe. And one thing that's really important about Siege is not letting up your lane, right? Up against really solid team comps like this. So if you go down a lot, if you die a ton, it's going to be a huge detriment for your team. You never want to die in your lane. So as you can see, he's gearing up against the Carl, doing a pretty decent job here, holding down his lane, doing his best. Up against a bad matchup, Carls are not easy to go up against when they can just gadget in on you. And being a power level 1, not having a lot of health, that Carl is a very scary threat, to say the least. But as you can see, blue team has some pretty solid control with the help of Alec there in the middle lane and the Bell in the left lane. They're doing a good job. And Flacco is holding back this Carl. He's not letting the Carl back into lane with the help of Alec, taking down the Carl in a pretty easy fashion. But as they're gearing up, waiting for the Carl to come back into lane, blue team has a 9 bolt to 3 bolt advantage. This second Siege bot is going to be huge. So let's see how this all winds down. Even if you are a power level 1 Dynamike, you're still going to do decent damage in like a Siege push if your teammates can keep you alive, right? Just hurling those sticks over the wall. It's not too bad. Dynamike, my goodness, making that Carl look silly, a power level 1. And I swear, that's got to be like the biggest defeat. I know I felt pretty dang silly when I saw a power level 1 Dynamike beat me in lane during our match when his team beat us. So my goodness, the way that it would feel to win or or get this accomplishment, I bet you it was a phenomenal feeling. But that bot is rolling in, Flacco trying to find his way in there without needing to take damage from the barley, and it looks like he's prioritizing his life. That is a very, very smart move with Dyna. You just don't want to die, and you can tell by his play style. He's playing very reserved. He's doing what he needs to do just to stay alive in his lane and hold down the pressure from his team. So Carl's going to use a gadget to get in. Flacco finally going down. I think this is the first example of Flacco actually being bested in lane. It was because of a Carl gadget, a pretty unfair move, or very hard to go up against a Carl gadget like that. But it's winding down. This is getting very, very serious, and they managed to get the tie, which is an automatic win. It got kind of scary there at the end. If the red team would have gotten enough bolts for that final push, it would have been game over, only having 75% damage on their IKE. So we'll see what ends up happening. They're just going to try to dive. There's a little bit of lag, so I apologize for that, but blue team's defense is exceptional. Very, very fun match, and it's fun to see a good Dynamike player at a very huge detriment do well up against a hard brawler to play up against as a power level 10 and a sweaty team comp, right? Super cool. So getting into our next one here, they're sitting at 1,235 trophies on the Dynamike. This part of the push is always the most difficult in my mind. It's like a head game, right? You feel so dang close, only being that much trophies away, but it still feels like an hour or 2 hours worth of pushing with the matchmaking and just like the pressure that's on you to try to do well. But as you can see, Flacco doing really, really good up against the Max here. Max, one of the hardest brawlers to go up against with the Dynamike, getting double teamed by a Piper and a Max, holding it down fairly decent there. Max, I swear, probably like top 5 worst brawlers to go up against with a Dynamike, because they're so fast. They have gadgets to zip around. They got a super that increases their mobility. Some of the time, it's just better to just forget about the Max and try to focus on other things, right? Well, at least for me, the way I play Dynamike. But Flacco doing a pretty decent job there in the defense. He's rolling into the right lane, trying to hold it down up against the Max, trying to secure that bolt in the right. Alec going up the left lane to try to give a little bit of pressure to this Brock here. Brock using the super, Flacco just hanging out in the background, getting popped by the sniper. But it looks like they're kind of holding up fairly decent here. And I think because of this push, it's pretty important that they get a good amount of damage on the heist, or on the siege IKE. So we'll see what ends up happening. I don't know if Flacco's going to go super hard in there the way that I saw him push the last one. He might just stay back, try to play that defensive game. I haven't seen him play super aggro, right? You can't really be aggro with a power level 1. Man, his accuracy is just so good. He doesn't miss his shots. He's really good at predicting where the people are going to go. So Flacco able to get a few basic attacks along with a super there on the IKE, getting a good amount of damage, and they're only at a 2 bolt deficit here and full control at that. So I think it should be just fine. They have the momentum on their side, that's for sure. So a little bit of teamwork to take down this Piper, doing a phenomenal job there, and they have full control. Yeah, this is a definite win. Man, I just can't get over how good Flacco is playing in these stressful situations. I start to buckle at this high of trophy ranges, but knowing that you have like no punch behind your sticks, I bet you is just a huge detriment. It weighs you down a ton, I bet, during this grind. But he's doing a really good job with the accuracy. That's the biggest deal. When you don't have Dyna jumps, you just gotta land your jumps, right? You just gotta land your basic attacks, right? So able to finish that one off, moving into the next match in the final one here. So getting into the final match, everybody, and as you can see, they're up against Double Stew. In my mind, this would be probably a counter comp or someone trying to snipe their push, just because the Stew is such a hard counter to the Dyna. But in retrospect, Double Stew does hurt the team being Dynamike, but since the Dynamike is a power level 1, doesn't punch that hard, but Stew is really good in Siege, let alone. But as you can see, they're doing a pretty decent job holding this down. Red team has won. It's tied 1-1, and I think it's gonna end up that way. Yep, so they have full control with the first bot being a tie. So we'll see if red team can get into lane or if blue team can hold back the pressure here. One really important thing when you're going up against a Stew is just don't let them get that super. Don't let them hit you. Just keep them within arm's reach. Play very passive, because once they get their super, that's when they're going to do crazy stuff to you. That's when they're hard to kill, because their movement speed isn't that crazy or anything like that. But blue team doing a phenomenal job. The Stews have had a pretty difficult time finding their way into lane to try to do some damage and stir up the momentum of this blue team here. So gotta give props to the blue team. They're playing really, really good. And you know, Flacco is holding up his end of the bargain. He's holding down his lane. A lot of the time when you imagine a power level 1 push to rank 35, you'll think that the teammates need to carry the crap out of you. But Flacco's hanging in there, man. He is not dying. He's holding down his lane, getting good damage, picking up the bolts. He's carrying out his things that he needs to do for his team very, very well. Opening up that hole there. He's just doing a great job. That's for dang sure. He's playing better than me at Dynamike when I was a power level 10, easily. But here we go. Let's see. We got this level 13 bot coming in. If they play their cards right, they should be able to end it here. And I think it's in their best interest just to go for a full-on push here. The Bell as well as the Stew are playing defense there, and yeah, they're going to be able to end it there. Phenomenal. And that is your 1,250 trophies as a power level 1. My goodness, that is beautiful. Guys, I don't know. It might be because I just came off of a rank 35 push on Dynamike myself that this milestone really hits different for your boy. I had such a challenging time pushing Dynamike in the meta that we were just in. He's not a fantastic brawler. He gets countered immensely. So picturing a power level 1 grind to that is just really, really hard for me. And my goodness, huge props to Flacco. He did a great job during this push. And yeah, he's a phenomenal Dynamike. Well done, Flacco. I can't believe it. It's amazing. But yeah, everyone, hopefully you all enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed following this grind. Still speechless over the accomplishment. But yeah, everyone, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to slap a like on it. I'd really, really appreciate that. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you in the next video. Adios, you guys.